Hi everybody, and welcome on this new live. I'm so happy to be here again. I'm gonna wait, as usual, a few minutes for the people to come in. I'm happy to be here because it has been a while, and I'm so glad here. So this live chat, our chat, is for painters and for drawers all around the world. Because for the people who are already following me, I am preparing this online painting course, and to get known about this course, I'm inviting once a month or once 2 times a month another artist, other artists or drawers or painters that I really think are inspiring. And so today I'm gonna invite Amy Brakeman, and I'm gonna let her enter the studio just in about a few minutes. But before we move on, I wanted to direct you to my website here, anneliesadriaansen.com. I'm gonna show you here because that's where you can read more about just here, just a few minutes here. Yeah, that's here you go. That's where you can go and where you can download your free ebook and where you can find more information about the painting program that I launch twice a year. And we have just launched the first one in November, and it was quite exciting, and I'm really happy that it was launched, and now we move on. And so during these connections on the internet, I have discovered Amy, who I like a lot of her work. I will let her in just in a few minutes. So here you can go on my website. You can discover more about my artwork, and can discover your your free ebook, and that's also where you can subscribe for the waiting list for the next launch, which will be launched next year. So, okay. Now we're gonna go. So I'm gonna let Amy in. I see you're already there, Amy. I'm just gonna change this. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Do you hear me?
I do.
Yeah?
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, okay. I don't hear you.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if it's from me or from...
Let's see. I have a mute button.
I don't hear you.
Oh.
Okay. And now
But
if you...
I just unmuted.
Okay. Okay. And now?
Hi. Can you hear me now?
Okay. I think it comes from me. I have a problem. Huh? Yeah? Okay. Okay. And now, because if I connect the micro, I don't hear Amy speaking. Okay. We're gonna do it like this.
All right.
Hey, I hope you're fine. There was a few a little bit difficulties for the organization, but there's gonna be a replay, so I'm gonna send a replay to all the people that
Oh, good.
were that wanted to follow us. So they're gonna see it later. So I hope you're fine, and I thank you for being here. I'm glad to meet you here and
Yeah.
to discuss a little bit more with you about your artwork and about the things you make. So, in a few words for the people here, I met the work of Amy last year. It was an online painting contest of another online course, which is quite known from Art to Life, Nicholas Wilton. And I remember we were both in the 50 artists selected in the pre-selections. And I remember an artwork coming by, and I remember that I flashed on it and was like, oh, wow, this is great. And now I'm so happy that I can invite Amy here to speak a little bit more about how you work and how you evolve in your creative process.
Thank you for the invitation. It's really fun.
Yeah. I'm going to speak this a little bit louder here. Okay. Okay, maybe so most of the time, how do we go through this interview? I have just a few questions, and then we're gonna discuss, and let's see how things come in a natural way. And then I have several questions prepared, and then we come and see how things will grow in a natural way, and how you can share with us about the things that you are inspired by, a little bit maybe the techniques you used, or how you came to make the art that you make. So I see you're sitting there in your studio. I
Hmm.
see there a beautiful painting behind you, which is looks kind big. So
Yeah.
maybe we can just start with the first question, and then we move on in a natural way. That
Okay.
fine for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I have this first question because where did your creative journey start? Because I'm always kind of curious how people start to how did you came to become a painter, or how did you became to want to make art and paintings? What's your story?
Well, I think I'm not unlike a lot of artists who are just kind of born with that inclination. And I was always interested in all kinds of creative endeavors. And when I was in college, I decided to focus on filmmaking actually, because as a young person, I had a really hard time deciding what I wanted to focus on. So I
Yeah,
loved how with film I could incorporate everything I was interested in, whether it's
yeah,
music, writing, composition, color, all kinds of things. Um, but I really was interested in it as an art form, actually kind of a more abstract art form. And I learned early on that I uh, didn't really want to work in the film industry. And
yeah,
I just wanted to make my own more personal films. And
yeah,
that's kind of hard to do. Well, back then I was shooting 16 millimeter film and it was expensive. So
yeah.
after a while, I ended up gravitating towards painting. And then probably a big thing that happened was I married a painter. And
Uh-huh.
uh, I ended up having that encouragement and inspiration in my life all the time. So uh,
So it's
that
a
was
love story.
well, it is. Yeah, it's great. It's really
Yeah.
great. So that's where my focus has been. And actually, I've always, like a lot of artists out there, for so many years, my um, creative energy was kind of saved for when I wasn't at work. So I was just able to paint or draw or whatever when I had free time. And
Yeah.
probably for the last 5 years, I've been able to focus full time on art,
Mm.
and it's really been great. I've been able to focus in a way that takes me all kinds of new places. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah. That's what I saw on your website. You made a lot of work. You worked a lot. You have a lot of paintings. And I can see already the evolution in the paintings that you put on the website. But so for the people who don't know you, maybe I'm going to show a first work here.
Sure.
It's the work that you show on your website also. I'm going to show it here. Right, like this, and then we're going to do like this. This one. It's called The Debutant. So maybe we can, while talking about this painting, maybe we can go to the second question, which is this one. You are a figurative painter, but your works looks contemporary. Has it always been like that? Because here we have figurative elements and it looks completely contemporary. I already told it. I just love your work.
Thank you.
It's yes, it gives me a lot of inspiration. So, could you maybe explain a little bit how you came to be at a time figurative painter, but it is really contemporary. How was your process to reach this result, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's actually fairly new for me, and I'd say within the last 5 years. Um, but I've always been interested in figures and portraits, maybe specifically. But um, but I think I always had a really hard time with abstract painting. That is, I was really drawn to abstract painting, but I didn't really understand the language well enough to use it, to express
Yeah.
myself with it. And you had mentioned earlier Nicholas Wilton's workshop that I took about 5 years ago, and probably the greatest thing I learned there was I just got a familiarity with working abstractly, and I was just ready for that. I was looking for that, and I was able to take that kind of information and practice and meld it with my other interests, which were the figure, but also um, I'm really interested in vintage photography and history. And
Yes.
so I felt like um, bringing those figures from history into my paintings, it just seemed really natural to me. Um, and actually, the way I work with them is those figures, when I bring them in, they're really part of, I treat them like an abstract element. And I try and make sure that they're woven into the whole thing so that it
Yeah.
kind of creates their own logic. Um, I do start with an abstract background. Most every painting I start, I don't have a definitive idea of where I'm going, but I
Yeah.
just started in the abstract sense. So I'm working with
Yeah.
shapes and colors, and as soon as I get something happening that I'm responding to that I like, then I put figures in and keep going. And a lot
Ah,
of times that abstract part changes completely once the figures enter the scene, but that's kind of how the process goes.
that's so interesting because I'm also a figurative artist, and
Yeah.
I work since, yes, did you saw a little bit of the works I made with the people,
Yes.
and I always have been also a figurative artist, and I understand that search that you can have when you are figurative artists, but you are looking for another universe in your art, and you try different techniques out to see how you can go there. So this is very interesting
Yeah, that's a
about,
really good way to put it.
yeah, it's interesting because about starting with geometrical figures. I think I'm gonna try it out also to see where it brings me, because what I also saw when you made your artwork is that you work with these layers. And I was thinking, like, how does she do that with like painting? And it's never clear if you paint first and you paint back again on it, and then you, how can I describe this? We have the impression that everything is woven between each other. So that means that you paint a figure and then you paint another element in front of it and then you paint back again on it?
Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot.
Okay.
So, for example, in this painting that you have up on the screen, um, like the way the woman's leg is, uh, it kind of flattens
Yeah.
out by the deer head and it's gone to kind of the pink. When I first painted her in, that pink band was there, and knowing that I wanted to kind of weave her in, as you say, I let her leg just be pink, but a slightly different color. But
Okay.
over on the horse, one of the very last things I did on this painting was to make that red horizontal shape that goes across the horse's chest. And without having something that obscured the horse a little bit, the painting just wasn't right. And as soon as I did that,
Yeah.
it resolved for me.
Yeah.
So there is definitely that that covering up. And for instance, the horse, like the back end of the horse, at one point was a much darker value, and
Okay.
I decided it was just being too realistic. So I lightened up that whole back end of the horse just
Okay.
to again make it feel like it belonged with everything else in the painting as far as values and that sort of airiness about the painting. So
Yeah.
there is a lot of back and forth. So I'll start with shapes, and before I get it to a place where I kind of like it, I've already made some layers. And I do an awful lot of putting paint on and taking paint off, which
Okay.
I tend to get textures and things that I really like. For
Okay.
example, those diamond shapes, those were
Yes.
all kind of a light, they're almost like a glaze, but a lighter colored paint that I put on really wet.
Thin.
Yeah, I put it on really wet and then almost immediately wiped it off. Um,
Okay.
so you just get a little shadow of the light. It's kind of interesting. Um, but anyway, when I add figures, then like you say, I'm layering on top of them as well as maybe scraping away. Um, the woman in her, one thing I really like to do is to collage other items. These are mixed media pieces. So
Okay.
on uh, her blouse, there's a check pattern, and that's actually not a collage, but a, a photo transfer of like a flannel check pattern that I just sort of
Okay.
snipped up and put on there, and then I painted over it. So it just gives it some variety. And then I painted even lines to sort of continue that pattern. Um,
This,
so
I think this is interesting for the people who are watching to know that if you work or if you paint or create it, because I have the impression that you really take your time to create. You maybe sometimes you put it aside and then you go back later on it a week later or 2 weeks. Does it happen to you? I have the
yeah,
impression that it works a little bit like that, yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I think this is interesting information also for the people who would like to start to paint, who would like to learn that it's a little bit like a living. It can also almost be like a living creature that starts alive, and it's not because one day you say, "Okay, I think it's finished." That maybe a few days later you have other ideas and you can continue. Everything is open. And this is what is really great about when you create, when you paint, that you have that sea of possibilities.
Yes, what a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. It's there's that sea of possibilities, but what's so fun about working on a painting like this is you can add something and let it sit for a few days, and something else will become apparent, like, oh, it needs this other diamond shape in the upper right hand side. It has its own logic that that becomes apparent to you over time. So time, it really is an interesting element to painting for me.
Mm. What I also like is that at one side, at one time, your paintings look so those old, it's like old images of the countryside and like cowboys also almost. I see the countryside, and I never was in the United States, but when I see your pictures, it completely reminds me of that. And then you have that really modern way of working around it. So this is what I really liked also about this. It's really yeah, of all ages a little bit. I think it's really interesting. So there is maybe another picture here, another painting here I would wanted to show because you sent it also to me. This one, is a little bit different than to me. It was a little bit different than the other paintings I saw. By it was so simple. Just
Yeah.
one, just one personnage, allez, one person, and just one type of color, this yellow ochre. And I think it's quite small also, if I have if I remind it well.
Yeah, it's 12 by 12 inches. And
Okay.
I sent it to you because it is much different. And I love this way of working too. It's kind of, this is much looser feeling to me. The figure is very loose in it.
Yeah.
And if uh, I'm sure there are people out there like me who strive to be loose. And it's
Yay.
hard. So hard to be loose. I don't know why that is, but especially when you're working with figures and faces,
Yeah.
so easy
I
to
completely understand.
want to get every little tiny thing just right.
Yeah.
And so I I was really happy with how this one turned out, and it's something that I aspire to do more of. Um, that's why I included it. But it's the same process for me as far as um, the way I started this painting. I started it in just the abstract, and as soon as I got like that shape on the side, that darker shape on the side, balanced by that kind of rectangular orange on the left, and then the scribbles. Um, I got that far and I was like, okay, now I'm ready to find a figure to place here. And this is the way I work. Because I'm uh, kind of a fiend for old photographs, I've
Yeah.
collected a lot of old photographs and I just kind of shuffle through them and find something that would work. And just the the posture, the way this woman is standing was so perfect for her to be standing in that tangle of scribbles. It's almost like she's standing in a mud puddle or something. Um, so I was able to get her in there very loosely, and I was so pleased that I didn't have to go back and correct her so much that I made her too perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. And I know what you mean about figurative painting, and especially when you work with portraits. You need time. When you need portraits, it's the face of a person. So you have to have it right a minimum, because otherwise you will see it if it's not right.
Yeah.
So you need to train. And all those pictures, do you find them in bookstores? Where do you find all those old pictures?
You know, there's a huge niche market out there. Um, I like to buy them at estate sales, or you can even buy like 100 old photos at a time on eBay. But
Oh, okay.
you never know what you're going to get. Which,
Oh, it's nice.
but because I am really interested in Western history, I also spend a lot of time with photo archives at historical societies around the West. And you just, you know, when you're using other people's photos that have been kind of lovingly preserved and saved for posterity or something, I'm just really careful about permissions, getting permissions to use those. Um, so it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit of a hunt, a treasure hunt, to find images that you have permission to use. But there's a lot out there that way.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna see the other picture here. This one. This one is just, I think it's beautiful also with those blues and those yellows. So I have another, maybe you can explain a little bit how this painting would grow. And I have another question that I also like to ask, because I paint as well, and I know sometimes how it feels when you get stuck in your process. And now, when I'm talking with you, I don't have the impression that you are stuck at all. I have
Yeah.
the I have the impression that there is no problem at all, and you can see it. It's that's why I told also when I wrote down that it's vibrant and it's colorful and it's full of life. But I will put just a question: did you ever feel stuck in your creative process? Could you maybe share something with the viewers here about, did you already experience that before, or do you still experience that today, to feel stuck when you're working, when you're painting, or are you have this entirely, you feel entirely free and everything is just flowing out, and how it was works for you?
Yeah, I get stuck all the time. And I think the difference with how I'm working now and how I used to work is that um, I used to be really frustrated all the time. So you know, as far as getting stuck, I just
Yeah,
wouldn't know where to go. And
yeah,
over the last few years, I've been able to create this process where I'm inviting um, I'm inviting chance and serendipity. I'm inviting surprise.
yeah,
So getting stuck has become uh, part of the process, and even I'll say it, even a welcome part of the process, because I know I'm always going to get through it. And when I do get through it, it's going to be better than where I was before. And I think it's part of just painting consistently, painting every day. You
yeah,
get a confidence that this is going to work out. Right now, I'm having a really hard time and I don't know what to do next. I know it's not working, but I don't know what to do next. But
yeah.
I have the confidence that if I turn that painting around for a day or two and come back to it, something's going to happen. I'm going to have some idea. Um,
Okay.
so, uh, so yes, I do get stuck all the time, and it's just I don't let it frustrate me or I don't get afraid of it. I just say, okay, now here's the
Yeah.
stage where I'm stuck.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And how am I going to get out of it? And I just have more confidence that I will get out of it.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of different things. There's little stuck, like if a figure's not quite right and I can't figure out what it is, there are all those tricks you can do, like looking at it in a mirror or taking a picture of it and looking at the picture of it, just ways to jolt your perception so that you can see it differently. Things like, I don't know, using color. So like this painting that we're looking at,
Yeah.
I think you can't, I'm not sure if you can see the skirts,
Yeah. I
but
can see them.
yeah, I think on the screen, I'm not sure if on the screen you can, but the
Oh.
skirts were kind of boring. They
Yeah.
were kind of large shapes, but they were kind
Mm-hmm.
of too regular. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was just by putting in some unexpected shapes in there, I was able to kind of work that out. And once you get started doing something, then
Yeah.
oftentimes it leads to the next thing and the
Yeah.
next, and you've worked your way out of it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I have had paintings that have not worked out. So sometimes
Yeah.
they just don't. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. I'm human. And
Yeah. Of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had a painting recently, this past year, that I had gotten it far enough along and I had put a figure in there, and I couldn't quite resolve the painting, and I was stuck with it. And I would try really dramatic changes to it compositionally to try and make things work, change the colors entirely. I just could not resolve it. And then I just said, okay, I'm going to paint over this figure and I'm going to put a different figure in this painting. And I did that and it worked out. I resolved it so quickly. It just came together really quickly after that. So there's I think that might be a lesson in letting go of certain things,
Yeah.
being able to say, well, that's not working. And there's
Yeah.
nothing that precious about that figure for me. I mean, it's not like a commission where I have to do that person.
Yeah.
And I loved the figure that was there. I'll use her in a different painting. But that particular painting needed a different figure, and that's what made it work out. So I was able to let it go, and then it resolved.
This is what I say also in the painting course, because we have in the painting course that is available on my website, that sometimes we can have that pressure, like, oh, I have to do this well and I have to do this good, and there's so many people who make so great things and I really need to. And you can have that pressure, but it is, I think it is about being conscious of that pressure, of doing good, about being conscious about that, and just letting go that feeling, and going like through that fear, because it is a fear of not doing good, and going through that fear every time again, because this we all have, we can have that feeling to be in front of that big white rectangular white canvas, like, oh my god, this is such a pressure. But going through that fear, and this is what I also say in the courses for the people, because I have also that same thing about, for a long time, for 15 years I had, like, I was searching for what I wanted to do, and then suddenly things changed. But anyhow, that it's so important to stay free when you create also. I don't know if understand a little bit what I want to say.
I sure do. I really do. There's that fear, and um, we put pressure on ourselves inside and out, and
Yeah, all the
it,
time.
it is never helpful. It just there's never a situation in which it's helpful. I mean,
Yeah,
from the inside, it's so easy for us to compare ourselves with other artists, or to project criticism from other people, like, oh, that person probably thinks this isn't a good painting. um, and it's that all that gets in the way of you just doing the work. You can work it all out yourself. um,
yeah,
you just have to give yourself
yeah,
permission to do it, I think. And but it's very hard to cut yourself off from what are other people going to think of this, and also to cut off that part of your own voice that's saying, this isn't good, it'll never be good, how do I make it good? um, yeah, it isn't helpful. It's hard to shut that off, but but I think if you accept that that's just part of being human too. And I think just knowing that, yeah, you're going to get those feelings now and then, but you don't have to make them be that important. Just say, okay, I'm feeling that, but now I'm going to turn off that feed and I'm just going to paint.
yeah, exactly. This is maybe can it because I wanted also to. I don't know if we have the time to go back to your painting here. I don't know if you would like to add before we go to the last question. I don't know if you would like to add something to the painting we see here because it's really big. Is there something you would like to add? Some information about the painting we're still looking at here?
Well, when I'm looking at it, I'm reminded of all the all the time and layers, all the time spent with this painting. It took a long time to get that to get where it is. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure what to say. It's fun to look at, though, for me.
Yeah, I
Great
just love
memory.
it. Those five women's like real hard friends, having good time together.
Yeah, yeah. I love those figures, but I also love. I mean, on my screen, I'm just seeing the top half of it. Um, but just that upper part too, with the really, I can see where I had scraped away on the
Yeah,
panel.
yeah, because you work on panel.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And the nice thing about that is being able to take a chisel or
Yeah,
anything and be able to really gouge in there and gouge down the layers.
yeah.
Um, so I kind of you get, and then when you do that, you get unexpected shapes and things that become an element that's kind of interesting.
I'm
So
gonna try to because I used to work on canvases, but I'm gonna try to work more on panel also because it's true that you can do other things with those wooden boards, and that's so interesting.
yeah,
Okay, so maybe okay, I'm gonna go back to us in full screen like this, and then I wanted to ask you if you have maybe a message to share with the viewers because about if people would like to start to paint or if you're a painter or anyhow any kind of message that you would like to share with the people who are looking who are knowing maybe they know your artwork, maybe they're interested for the course, maybe any kind of message, I don't know, something that you feel inspired to share
Sure.
something with us.
Yeah, I guess thinking about that and thinking about taking art courses, I um, um,
Oh
thinking
yeah.
thinking of myself. Uh, you know, I've taken different workshops and courses through the years, and as you know, before I didn't have as much experience, um, and I found myself frustrated a lot about how to get better and how to learn more. And
Hmm.
every workshop that you take, or every class that you take,
Yeah.
you get, I mean, maybe you'll take a class and you get a lot more. Maybe you just get a little bit more.
Yeah.
But there's always
Yeah.
something new. And I
Yeah.
think that has to do with what you bring to the class. Because I mean, I could take a class that I took 10 years ago and I would get so much. I would get a different message from it because
Yeah.
um, you know, there's certain things that I have heard over and over and over again about painting that I only heard really for the first time 4 or 5 years ago, you know, because I was ready to hear them. I was ready to, uh, or maybe I was just, I guess that's it. I was just ready to hear it. And so you just never know when those really important messages are going to come to you.
Yeah.
So, keeping yourself open by learning and taking classes is great. The other
Yeah.
thing that I would say is that, and I've been so impressed with this over the last 5 years for myself, being able to paint every day. Um, there's just these lovely, wonderful things that happen when you get to paint on a regular basis. There's just this thing between your mind and your heart and your hand with the paintbrush or whatever tool you have. Uh, it's this practice every single day of choices that you make, moves that you think about or don't think about. And you just can't help but develop as an artist. So uh, it's a neat thing that happens for those people that are interested in creating. And if you just keep doing it,
Yeah.
unexpected things can happen. So,
I completely agree with that. That every time you have a teacher or every time you follow an art course or a workshop, you learn something,
mhm.
and that's how you create your own personal way of working. So I really, I also say to people, it's so encouraging. You can do it on your own, but it will take so much time. It's about meeting other people and other techniques that they propose, that they are opening up other doors, and that's just the amazing thing about it. So I'm already when you say that you're working every day, I'm a little bit jealous because I don't have so much time these last months, and I
Yeah,
really wanted to go back to it as soon. I hope really soon, and I know because I know what a joy it is when you have this time to paint like almost every day.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's great. Okay, so thank you very much. I don't know if you want to add something about everything we talk. I thought it was really interesting.
Thank you. It's been really fun. It's fun to get to talk to you across the ocean. It's so fun.
Yeah, amazing what internet can do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was happy to meet you, and I hope we'll meet again on maybe other opportunities. Thank you for sharing everything that you shared with us. And then I'm wishing you a fine end of the day because you still have the day before you,
Right.
and we
Right.
don't.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Amy, and see you very soon.
I hope so.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Okay, so there may be also more people. I don't know if there are people who wanted to ask some questions. Okay, everybody says thank you. Thank you very much also that everybody that you were here. If there are more questions about what you wanted, about something that we talked about today, we're gonna end the discussion here. And this is again the link to my website where you can go and download your free ebook, and where you can also subscribe to the waiting list for the art course. So thank you very much for everybody who was here. I think it was really interesting, and we will do another live chat in January. It's all already on the calendar, so I will communicate about this very soon. And okay, so this is it for today. I've learned many new things also thanks to Amy, and I just wanted to share before I'm leaving here with you that creation is just something, like I told, I don't have a lot of time at this moment to paint, and I really almost can feel it. It's almost physical about that I'm missing it so much, and I'm gonna move to a bigger studio, and I know I'm gonna have more time soon to paint. So if you have your feeling like I want to go painting, I want to creating, just go for it and take every second, every minute you have to make amazing artwork. And I'm already looking forward to see all of this soon, maybe on our website or on the Facebook page of Live and Create. Thank you very much, everybody, and we will meet again in January. Bye bye.